falling leaf, a fading ripple, a wisp of smoke that rises and disappears. Have you ever paused and truly felt that moment? Felt the incredible subtle change of all things? Everything around us, from the majestic mountains, the endless river to our very breath, seems to be in a state of being but is, in fact, constantly becoming. And then, we face a challenging question. Is there anything eternal, anything unchanging in this universe? Is the table we are touching, the phone we are holding, or even the self we believe in, truly independent and fixed? Or are they all just an illusion of the senses, a temporary arrangement of things in constant motion? About a century ago, a great scientific revolution took place, shaking the very foundations of what we once believed. Max Planck, the father of quantum physics, laid the groundwork for a startling truth. At the microscopic level, there is no solid matter. Everything is just packets of energy, quanta vibrating at a specific frequency. Albert Einstein later generalized a simple yet profoundly deep truth. ERMC2. Energy and matter are not two separate things, but two sides of the same coin. Matter is simply a condensed form of energy, like water freezing into ice. So imagine, everything from distant stars to every cell in your body is a vast symphony of energy and vibration. Everything, whether matter or consciousness, is a different song, emanating from a single ocean of energy. And that song is never repeated, never static. Everything is changing, moment to moment, without ceasing. The question is no longer, is there eternity? But how do we live in a universe that is constantly changing? Around the end of the 19th century, scientists believed they had explained almost everything about the universe. Every object had mass, position, and motion that followed Newton's absolute mechanical laws. The universe was like a giant clockwork machine where everything was clearly defined and predictable. But then, experiments with electricity, magnetism, and light began to reveal anomalies. Michael Faraday and James Clerk Maxwell demonstrated that light was a form of electromagnetic wave, propagating through space. But if it was a wave, then what was vibrating? Max Planck found a groundbreaking answer. To explain the thermal radiation of a black body, he had to admit that energy was not emitted continuously, but in small, discrete packets called quanta. This was a concept completely contrary to intuition. Imagine, light is no longer a continuous flow but tiny, discrete bullets. Each of these bullets carries a specific amount of energy, and that energy is related to its frequency of vibration. A higher frequency carries more energy. From there, a new truth gradually emerged. At the microscopic level, everything is not solid matter, but energy at different frequencies of vibration. The table you are sitting at, which seems so solid, is actually a cloud of atoms vibrating at a terrifying speed. The Earth's gravity, which seems like an invisible force, is the curvature of space-time. And as quantum physics delved deeper, it revealed another astonishing thing. All fundamental particles, the building blocks of the universe, have a dual nature. They can be a solid particle of matter, but also a radiating wave of energy. We cannot know what they are until they are observed. This means that part of reality only exists in a state of potential, as a vibration, waiting to be manifested as matter. So, look at the palm of your hand. You see a mass of flesh, bone, and blood. But if you look with the eye of quantum physics, you will see trillions of atoms vibrating non-stop. Every cell in your body is constantly dividing and changing. You, at a physical level, are not a fixed entity, but a vibrating flow of energy. You are a symphony, a non-stop dance of particles and waves. The discoveries of quantum physics, while new and challenging to modern science, surprisingly resonate with truths that were enlightened thousands of years ago. More than 2,500 years ago, the Buddha taught the doctrine of impermanence, anatta. Usually, we only think of impermanence as the big, painful changes of life. birth, aging, sickness, death, separation. But the truth about impermanence is much deeper than that. The Buddha taught that every phenomenon in this universe, nothing exists independently or eternally. Everything is just a temporary formation of elements. And these elements are constantly arising and ceasing, moment to moment, a period of time so short it cannot be measured. Imagine, the river you see today is not the river of yesterday. The water constantly flows, the sand particles are constantly being carried away, and the microorganisms are constantly being born and dying. You can never step into the same river twice. Similarly, the flame you are looking at, it seems like a fixed entity, but it is actually a continuous chain of chemical reactions, where oxygen and fuel are constantly interacting, creating heat and light, and then disappearing. There is no eternal flame, only a continuous flow of combustion. So, what about our bodies? Every cell in our bodies is constantly being born and dying. Every breath in and out is different. Even our thoughts and emotions are constantly changing. A feeling of happiness that just arose can turn into sadness in an instant. Anger that just flared up can dissipate. Everything is impermanent. Impermanence, according to Buddhism, is not just a law of the universe but also the key to liberation. Clinging to impermanent things, thinking they are eternal, is the root of all suffering. Trying to hold on to a past happy moment, trying to maintain a fractured relationship, or clinging to a fixed, unchanging self, all create resistance to the flow of reality, and from that, suffering arises. So, let's look deeper into this doctrine. Impermanence is not a tragedy, but the truth. The truth about the constantly changing nature of everything. And this truth, when fully understood, opens a door to inner peace. When we place quantum physics and Buddhism side by side, a strange and profound harmony emerges. Quantum physics talks about the non-stop transformation of energy, of material particles. Buddhism talks about the impermanence of all phenomena. Both point to a reality without a fixed essence. Matter is not a rigid entity, but vibrations at different frequencies. Similarly, our self, or all phenomena, is not an independent entity, but a temporary collection of continuously changing elements. Buddhism calls this state emptiness, sunyata. However, emptiness here is not nothingness. Emptiness means the absence of a fixed essence, the absence of a fixed self or permanent reality. It is the state of being empty of an inherent fixed nature. This is similar to how quantum particles do not have a fixed position or state until they are observed. They exist in a state of potential, as waves, as vibrations, before manifesting as matter. Imagine a universe where nothing is static, nothing is eternal. Everything, from the smallest proton to the giant galaxy, is a non-stop dance of energy, of waves and particles. The table in front of you, which seems so solid, is actually exchanging energy with the environment. Its atoms are constantly vibrating. Your body is constantly receiving and emitting energy. Your thoughts and emotions are subtle vibrations that are always changing. And when we understand that everything is just vibrations, we begin to realize the deep interconnectedness of all things. Energy is not lost, it only transforms. The energy from the sun nourishes the plants. The plants become food for us. And that energy transforms into consciousness, into action. It is all a non-stop flow, a vast network of energy where everything is connected. We are not independent entities but temporary nodes in this immense network. So, the impermanence of Buddhism is not a pessimistic philosophy of loss, but a profound truth about the nature of the universe, about the non-stop connection of all things. When we let go of the attachment to a fixed entity, we will see the flow of life, see the connection between ourselves and all things, and from there, find peace. These ideas are not limited to Buddhism and modern physics. Even in Western philosophy and psychology we see similar echoes. More than 2,500 years ago, Heraclitus, an ancient Greek philosopher, proposed the famous philosophy Panta Rei. which means everything flows. He believed that change was the core essence of the universe, and nothing was eternal. The river he mentioned, "You can never step into the same river twice," is a perfect metaphor for the impermanence of all things. Heraclitus's philosophy almost parallels Buddhist impermanence, as both emphasize the dynamic, non-stop change of reality. If Heraclitus talked about the flow of matter, Carl Jung, an eminent psychologist, delved into the flow of consciousness. He introduced the concept of the collective unconscious, a reservoir of memories, experiences, and archetypal symbols of all humanity. Jung believed that the collective unconscious was not just an abstract concept, but a real energy field that influenced the thoughts, emotions, and actions of every individual. This has a striking similarity to the concept of seeds, bija, in Yogacara Buddhism. Seeds are karmic imprints that are sown into the alaya vijnana, storehouse consciousness, a kind of repository of experiences and actions from countless lifetimes. Every action, word, and thought of ours creates a seed and sows it into this storehouse consciousness. These seeds are not lost, but they vibrate and await the right conditions to sprout and manifest outwardly as phenomena. Both Jung and Buddhism suggest that there is an invisible flow, an unconscious energy field, containing deep information and experiences that influence the reality we live in. This is not just change at a physical level, but also impermanence at a mental level. We are not only changing physically but also mentally, in the karmic seeds within us. From this perspective, impermanence is not just decay and disappearance, but also constant rebirth and transformation. The vibrations of the past create the vibrations of the present, and the vibrations of the present shape the vibrations of the future. So, having understood impermanence at both the physical and spiritual levels, how do we apply it to our daily lives to find peace? The answer lies in letting go of attachment. We suffer not because things change, but because we try to hold on to things that are passing. We cling to a stable job, an eternal relationship, a perfect self-image. And when those things change, we feel empty, hurt, and despair. It's like trying to hold water in the palm of your hand. The tighter you squeeze, the faster the water slips away. This attachment is a form of resistance. It's like trying to swim against the current. The flow of life is impermanence, the non-stop change of energy and vibration. When you attach, you create friction and tension, and from that, suffering arises. Understanding impermanence, the vibrating nature of everything, does not mean we become apathetic or emotionless. On the contrary, it helps us live each moment to the fullest. When you know that everything is impermanent, you will cherish every present moment. You will love without clinging, work without attaching to the results, and live without fear of the end. So, practice observing impermanence. In meditation, we are guided to observe the breath coming in and going out, to observe sensations arriving and leaving, thoughts arising and ceasing. Every breath is impermanence. Every emotion is impermanence. When you observe without judgment, you will see their changing nature and no longer be controlled by them. You will see that you are not those emotions, not those thoughts, but a vast field of awareness, witnessing all those vibrations come and go. That is how we harmonize with the flow of the universe, accept change as a natural law, and find peace right in the midst of change. Letting go of attachment is not about losing something, but about liberation. Liberating yourself from the chains of suffering, freeing up energy to live a free and peaceful life. And so, our journey has gone from the smallest quantum particles to the greatest spiritual doctrines. We have seen that both science and philosophy, although taking different paths, meet at one point. Everything is energy and vibration, and everything is changing moment to moment. Impermanence is not a tragedy of loss, but a liberating truth. When we understand that everything, from a table, a leaf, to our own emotions and thoughts, is constantly changing, we will no longer try to cling to things that cannot be held. We will no longer live in the illusion of eternity. Instead, we begin to appreciate every present moment. We do not live in the past that has passed, nor do we worry about the future that has not yet arrived. We are fully present in every breath, every step, every word. We enjoy the beauty of change, just as we enjoy watching a flower bloom and fade, or a cloud gather and disperse. The impermanence of all things is also their emptiness of a fixed nature, and that emptiness is not a lack, but unlimited potential, because everything is impermanent, everything can change, and that means you always have the ability to transform, grow, and become a better version of yourself. Stillness only exists in death. Life is a flow. Remember, you are not a fixed entity but a vibrating flow of consciousness. The energy within you is always interacting with the energy of the universe. Understanding impermanence is understanding your true nature and the nature of this universe. It is the key to liberation from attachment, to living a full, meaningful, and peaceful life. This is episode 6 of our 111 video series on universal energy, where science and spirituality meet, helping you better understand yourself and the journey of consciousness evolution. Please click subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos.